Have you ever questioned how self-pleasure develops as we grow older? The fact is, masturbation can have very different forms. Implications in our elderly years, giving healing and comfort link, but what takes place as it moves from a healthy habit to something more convoluted? And we will expose the true facts in this video. Of an advanced age masturbation, from its benefits of empowerment for the emotions, difficulties that many people still deal with till the very last, as we show how discovering balance may greatly influence your physical and mental well-being, both emotionally, should you not have registered to our channel still. But I advise you to click the subscription button and ring the alert bell to be current on all our most recent stuff. Makes me excited. Your opinions on the current issue, should you appreciate the material, kindly leave a 1-star remark. Down below, should not appeal to you, leave a 0 for your comments. It's vital as it enables me to produce better movies, using in line with your interests. Let us now get going and explore thoroughly toward tearing up the sometimes misinterpreted, thus very delicate subject of pleasure in old age, as we dissect the legends and face the thunder of truth on how this personal exercise helps to form the life of persons who participate in it, both by its releasing joys and its more complex emotional undertones. This conversation is structured with the intention of touch adults, particularly in terms of those negotiating the great trip of life. Their latter years. Masturbation is much different. Much more than a simple physical action. It is a voyage of one's innermost yearns for a haven of self-connection, mace of the mind, body, and soul. Independent of age, the capacity to create bodily enjoyment while releasing pent-up emotional anxiety is unquestionably a portion of the human experience as we grow. However, this practice assumes fresh levels of complexity. The body, once driven by youngish energy, starts to change. Through a variety of natural fluctuations, changes in hormones, changed physical sensitivity, and the changing pulse of desire. Nevertheless, in face of unavoidable physical transformations, joy does not fading, it just grows more complex, more deep, and more intimate. For those in their golden years, find masturbation might become a private means of recovering a very close relationship with their aging body, in which testosterone is falling and estrogen levels. Sexual desire might not burn as violently as it used to, but it lingers, only waiting for investigation. In quieter, more significant means of expression, the act of self-stimulation turns into a transforming agent. Act of rediscovering, free from the usually very high demands or pressure that connection and freshness may provide. It is a place where one can reestablish the body's demands, and once appreciatively noting that joy is still a good life. Confirming knowledge regardless of age. The advantages, psychological as well as physical, are extensive. Medical studies continually emphasizes that consistent self-pleasure presents a multitude of good consequences, particularly for senior citizens. Literally, it helps to preserve blood in sure flow to the vaginal region so that essential tissues remain healthy and resistant to shrink, a typical problem brought on by inactivity. But maybe most importantly, the psychological and emotional benefits are unprecedented. Masturbation releases endorphins, the great sources of pleasure hormones designed to eliminate emotions of wise worry, anxiety, as well as even sadness, boosting the spirit in ways few in elderly age. Various pursuits can be a practice, reminds us that we remain vivid yet ready to bring delight. Remains worthy of much particular attention. Satisfaction serves as a means of honoring the needs of the body without shame, guilt, or society criticism. Adopting the concept, therefore, the road of joy keeps on in several yet equally exquisite ways till the very last stage of life. When an elderly person masturbates, they experience not only a moment of passing bodily alleviation, yet a more permanent affects their general state of health, especially with regard to enhancing later stage sleep quality. In restful sleep becomes crucial for preserving mental and physical health. Then the leisure that follows. Self-pleasure might help to relax you, allowing a more restful evening's slumber. Psychologically, masturbation serves as far more important than one could possibly be first picture. It turns into a strong instrument for consciousness and self-compassion, helping senior citizens to recover a feeling of agency over their corpses that could have felt abandoned to the consequences of aging in a society when getting older usually comes with emotions of vulnerability, loss of manage, and occasionally even a separation from one's own physical body. Masturbation provides a means of recovering. Some of that power comes from opportunity to get in sync with oneself, to encounter one's corporeal body as a source of solace instead of disappointment. Based on this, fresh relationship strengthens self-esteem, thus supporting people start to have more favorable and glimpse of their aging bodies. This has great empowering power. Still, as with all enjoyable activities, suppose there exists a line whereby if crossed can transform this personal endeavor from maybe dangerous to quite helpful when masturbating gets out of control, or especially in latter years. Obsessive especially can lead to certain physical and emotional fallout that ought not to be disregarded. Practically, over-arousal of the genital nerves can cause increased sensitivity that could appear appealing at first, but could lead to pain or a fleeting decrease in feeling with time. This reduced sensitivity can set up an annoying cycle wherein people discover they have need for more and more strong stimulus to achieve the same degree of enjoyment that provide a developing feeling of discontent and even anxiety as the one easy act of self. Pleasure no lengthens offer the same degree of still the most important satisfaction, yet effects of too much masturbating in elderly aging is emotional rather than physical. In my experience, many older persons seek for masturbating to get away from more agonizing lonely emotions, depression, or anxiety. As we age, social ties could compromise, family dynamics could change, and many remain overcoming the lonely silence of existence devoid of the continuous company of loving ones. In these times, masturbation may provide a quick reprieve, a method to momentarily set aside the pain of loneliness. However, when it turns into the main or only comfort provider, it can widen the emotional vacuum, producing a nasty loop of reliance that advances, separates the person. This emotionally, one can particularly find danger in seclusion. For elderly folks, as it usually goes, the more someone retreats into the one realm of self-stimulation, the less likely people are to search for deep and fulfilling relationships with others. During moderation, and masturbation could be a good component of one's sexual expression when it replaces something for emotional interaction and human connection fulfillment. It can bring about leaves a person feeling more alone than I have ever surrounded in a bubble of self-generated seclusion. In like everything else, the ending balances. A very fulfilling activity is masturbation, an healing technique for senior citizens, providing physical relief, emotional connection, and an empowered feeling. But when it veers over the line into surplus, it can start to become a shadow of itself, guiding to sensations of isolation and frustration. Emotional reliance, the path to discovering that balance, is personal. One calls for integrity, self-awareness, and most importantly, self-compassion, rather than of looking for company, either affectionately or emotional support some people could have. Seek self-stimulation as a substitute, steadily separating themselves from the world they live in. This reliance on masturbation can help to increase further emotional distance that results in a great sense of isolation. Will you do? Medical research claims regarding masturbation from a clinically standpoint in old age by itself. Masturbation is not intrinsically harmful. In fact, it can provide numerous health benefits when practiced in moderation. However, like any behavior, when taken to excess, it can have accidental side effects, possibly affecting both the body and mind. Numerous studies have highlighted the potential consequences of compulsive masturbation in older adults, particularly when it becomes a primary form of emotional or sexual release. Physically, the overuse of self-stimulation can result in fatigue, not just on a sexual level, but also in overall energy levels, contributing to mental and physical exhaustion. This fatigue can make it more difficult to maintain the energy and motivation required to engage in essential daily activities. As we know, maintaining an active lifestyle through physical exercise is crucial for older individuals. It promotes mobility, strengthens muscles, and supports cardiovascular health. However, excessive masturbation can sap the enthusiasm or drive needed for physical exercise, leading to a more sedentary lifestyle, which poses its own health risks in older age, such as increased chances of heart disease, loss of muscle tone, and decreased flexibility. If you're still watching this video and find these lessons useful, please comment number 1 below. to let me know that you are still watching this video with me beyond. The physical ramifications, another important aspect too. Consider is how excessive self-stimulation can impact interpersonal relationships during this later stage of life, while many older adults live alone and may turn to masturbation as a means of fulfilling their sexual needs. Those who are in relationships face additional complications in cases where a person is in a long-term partnership. Frequent or compulsive masturbation can gradually take the place of shared intimacy. This shift can create a growing emotional and physical distance between partners, replacing the deep connection and affection that once bonded them with an individual act that leaves little room for mutual pleasure. The result can be a relationship that feels disconnected, where one or both partners feel neglected or unsatisfied emotionally and physically. For those in this situation, finding a balance is essential. It is important to ensure that masturbation does not become a replacement for intimacy with a partner, but rather a complement to the shared connection. This can prevent it from becoming a barrier to the loving and intimate contact that keeps relationships strong and healthy. On an emotional and psychological level, excessive masturbation can also bring about a host of negative feelings, particularly for those who have been raised in environments where sexuality was considered taboo, shameful, or something to be hidden. Many older adults still carry these deep-seated beliefs, which can result in an internal struggle. When they engage in self-stimulation, for these individuals, the pleasure derived from masturbation may be immediately followed by feelings of guilt, shame, or remorse. This conflict between the desire for pleasure and the ingrained belief that such acts are morally wrong can create an emotional burden, weighing heavily on their self-esteem and mental well-being. This ongoing internal conflict can further exacerbate feelings of loneliness and isolation, as the individual may feel trapped in a cycle of pleasure followed by self-judgment. The mental toll of this battle can erode emotional health, leading to anxiety, depression, and a diminished sense of self-worth. It is essential to recognize that these emotions are not uncommon, particularly for those who grew up in more conservative or repressive cultures. Yet confronting these thoughts head-on and striving towards self-acceptance can be immensely freeing. In conclusion, although masturbating in old age is not detrimental when performed in moderation and may even give several physical and emotional advantages, it is crucial to stay wary of the possible problems of over-reliance on self-stimulation. Finding a good balance, particularly for those in partnerships, is crucial to ensuring that masturbating acts as a beneficial component of one's sexual and emotional well-being, rather than a cause of alienation or guilt. As we age, awareness of self and compassion for self grow in even more significance in preserving a contented, balanced life. In these instances, one must grasp that sexuality, even in the latter years, if life stays a naturally lovely and rather favorable feature of human existence, it should never be balanced down from needless guilt or humiliation. The capacity to relate to one's physical state by sexual pleasure, even in old age, is not only natural, but also really helpful kind of emotional expression and self-communication release. Yet when masturbation become an emotional escape in place of relevant personal touch, that could indicate a more fundamental problem demanding focus. In such conditions, it's crucial to look for substitute emotions help, whether from therapy, counseling, or revisiting close friends. These kinds of interactions provide a widely sought-after emotional source, nutrition transcending the temporary gratification of one typical worry many people have is self-stimulation. Persons possess, whether there are any long-term physical hazards related with old age masturbation, is where it's important to eradicate the ongoing stories that have unnecessarily created worry for so many. Counterintuitive against conventional wisdom, not a single reliable medical study exists to propose that masturbation generates ongoing harm to sexual organs or quickens the aging process. Furthermore, research has regularly shown that there's no relationship between masturbating and severe illnesses like either sexual or as prostate cancer, dysfunctions with erectile difficulties, or impotence. These lies merely help to increase unwarranted anxiety, particularly in relation to senior citizens who could already feel insecure about their evolving bodies. Stated moderation still remains the secret to obtaining the complete advantages of masturbation free of experience undesired. Adverse effects even in cases of no long-term health hazards. Great still, masturbating may cause physical over time. Tiredness becomes the regular discharge of energy in unbalance with enough food or relaxation might leave people feeling worn out both physically and psychologically. Another possible result of overindulgence is a long-term drop in libido. The extremely behavior aimed to satisfy sexual need can, when done obsessively, one reduces their drive, leading to a sensation of discontent or annoyance derived from develops throughout elderly age. Masturbating, when carried out with consciousness and moderation, presents a plenty of physical when emotional gains. From a physical perspective, it encourages good blood, promotes circulation, and maintains suppleness of genital tissues, supporting maintenance of sexual purpose. That it can also fulfill essential instrument for emotional comfort, especially during stressful times. Worry or loneliness for many of them provides a place to re-establish their own bodily connection, restating their own value and vigor. Yet, as with everything, things if masturbation is done, one must have equilibrium. Begins to engage in a disproportionate length of one's life, or becomes a crutch, it transcends other crucial elements. Of course, of life, one should consider what could be fueling this need. Is it loneliness, anxiousness, a lack of emotional link? Whatever the fundamental, cause we should take care of these problems. Headed in search of better approaches to fulfill both bodily and psychological requirements. Regardless of hobbies, social conversations, or physical exercises similar to walking or yoga will help one recover a more balanced approach to enjoyment and general wellness in view. During masturbating is a customary and useful habit in old age, requires careful handling. With knowledge of its limitations, done in moderation, it may be an origin of great emotional and physical fulfillment, advancing both mental clearly and sexually. Yet it's crucial to understand when it starts to be, instead of more significant human relations, or when it first begins to bad influence other spheres of life. By preserving a conscious equilibrium, older adults can get advantages from self-pleasure free from losing perspective on the more general emotional and social relationships that also enhance life. Thank you for coming along in this depth and significant conversation regarding in old age, self-pleasure, what have you so far learned. We would be delighted to hear from one thing you have discovered today you want to start implementing. Leave comments with your opinions. Please find here whether you like this video. Leave your remark, and remember not to overlook such as share and subscribe to our YouTube avenue for more perceptive material. Included your sponsorship enables us to keep going, pushing these vital dialogues forward to shine.